Le Crunch this weekend, England against France in the Six Nations. England 1 from 3 in fourth spot. France, having had a bit of a break with that coronavirus outbreak, they are still in second, having played 2 and 1-2. Remember, they are a week behind, a game behind everybody else, them in Scotland, having had their last game postponed. So we'll see how these teams line up. I'll go through the squads, which I'll also check in the description as well if you guys want to check them out. But it's always a tasty one when you've got England up against France. France hunting a Six Nations title. England looking to save a bit of face, I guess, after it being a bit disappointing. Eddie Jones is copping the flack from the English media. That's always a thing. When it's good, the media loves you, and when it's bad, they're all over you, and that's kind of where they are at the moment. But we'll go through the squads, some of the stats, recent history, predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this is going to go. Traditionally pretty close, man. Last 5, it's England 3, France 2. The average score 24-18 to England. There's one big win in those last 5, which kind of blows the margin out a wee bit. The most recent result was that pretty close one, 22-19 in the Autumn Nations Cup final. Pretty controversial, that one. But yeah, it's generally a pretty tight affair. These two teams don't like each other a heck of a lot, which is not a bad thing for us, the fans. The squads, England have made a few changes, like in terms of Eddie Jones's selection, which are generally pretty steady as she goes. He's maybe made sweeping changes if you put it in that context. Cowan-Dickie starts ahead of George, so the front row is Mako Vunipola, Cowan-Dickie, and Kyle Sinclair. The second row, you got Charlie Ewell starting, so Johnny Hill's down to the bench, so it's him and Itoje. Wilson, Curry, and Billy Vunipola is the same back row as we're kind of used to, seeing as old Underhill is out injured. Youngs and Ford is the familiar 19 combo when Farrell's playing in the midfield, which he is at 12. Henry Slade's still 13. Mayer's still 11. Watson's 14. And Max Malins gets a start at 15. That's maybe one of the biggest changes. Daly is on the bench. That's kind of like, whoa, headline news. Elliot Daly is on the bench. He's not been having his best Six Nations by anybody's accounts, but you could say that about a lot of players. Jamie George, Ellis Gans, Will Stewart, that's the front row replacements. Stewart, I don't even think got any minutes in the last game, did he? Yeah, it's an interesting one. Johnny Hill, as I mentioned, Ben Earl, 3 backs this time with Dan Robson, Ollie Lawrence, and Elliot Daly. So George Martin is out of the match day 23. I feel good if Lawrence gets some proper minutes because he's been a wee bit neglected, but there's a bunch of guys that haven't had any, so that's the way it goes. For France, especially changed up bench, but a relatively stable starting 15 by Marchand and Hawass is the same front row that we're used to. Telfa Fanua starts. There's no LaRue this week, so he partners Willemse. Creton gets the start at number 6. Olivon is 7, a captain, and Aldred is 8. So pretty familiar, apart from Telfa Fanua and Creton. One of the neighbours' dogs is going absolutely mental. Must be cautious of the French coming to town, I guess. Dupont and Jalibert is 9-10. That's despite the fact that Intermac is available, and he is in the 23. He is in the 23 jumper. But, it's Jalibert who's still preferred. It's fair enough. I mean, Intermac's only just come back, so might as well keep things relatively stable. Can't see that dog, but maybe he just doesn't like Antoine Dupont. Gael Fiku and Vakatawa is a pretty tasty-looking midfield. Honestly, Vakatawa is one of the best in the world. How good is it to have him back? It means there's no Arthur Vincent this time. And Fiku has been... someone mentioned his age to me the other day. He's still so young, but he still seems like an absolute veteran, and he's been having a hell of a Six Nations. Pinot, Thomas, and Dulin are the back 3. So Thomas is in for Villiers, who's injured. Dulin's been really safe at the back and also dangerous going forward. Pinot is Pinot. Also dangerous ball runner. Shat comes in, as does Gross and Aldegheri as the backup front row. So that's all changed. There's no guys the same there. Kazoo and Woki are the and Jelenic actually. Jelonch, I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Someone tell me in the comments. But yeah, 6-2 split for the French. They've only got the two backs with Serrant and Intermac having to cover the entire back line. So fingers crossed the French don't get any injuries to the backs early on. The hell is that dog's problem, man? It's the Six Nations. Be happy. England, when you look at their numbers, there's some ugly reading in certain areas. I mean, seemingly easy fixes. Handling errors. They are the number one team. And that's not a good place to be. And two of the main offenders, Youngs and Farrell, each have had 6 handling errors in 3 games. That's a wee bit too much. Itoje is the most penalised player. I know he's always playing on the line, but Itoje, 10. The next most penalised guy is Tyke Byrne with 6. That's kind of putting it into context for you. They do have a really high dominant tackle rate compared to their number of tackles, right? Like, they don't make the most tackles, but they're not the number one team for dominant tackles, but their ratio is really high. So yeah, they're a big aggressive defensive side, and maybe sometimes that flirts with the wrong side of the referee's whistle. If you're looking for guys impressive offensively, Watson's your number one guy for broken tackles in the English squad. He's had 9. The neighbour is telling off the dog at the moment. Don't know if he got smacked. I think I heard a bang. Anyway, for the French, they've had 9 tries in 2 games, although one of them against Italy. They've almost had as many kick meters as England, despite playing 1 game less, which is an interesting one. And teams which kick a lot, just in recent times, seem to be doing really well. Wales have the most kick meters in the Six Nations. They are on top of the Six Nations. The Crusaders have the most kicks from hand per game in Super Rugby Aotearoa. They are 2 from 2. So teams that know how to kick and kick well, not just aimlessly, are doing really well. And that's a big part of the French game. France are the number one offloading team, though, as well. So they're quite able to handle the ball pretty explosively. You look at most line-out wins, it's Olivon. He's at 13 line-out wins. So he's a key man. They should be looking to shut him down big time in that line-out. The next best line-out taker's only had 9, and I think it's Tyke Byrne again. So, yeah, big gap despite having 1 less game. Interestingly, Dupont has a surprisingly high missed tackle count, but he often seems to be harrying the opposition, doesn't he? So even if he's missing a tackle, he's making people uncomfortable. So, yeah. It's just, he's a bit like Faf de Klerk in that. Like, Faf de Klerk would always get up in people's faces. Dula and Teddy Thomas both have 7 broken tackles, so guys to watch out for when they've got ball in hand. But yeah, Saturday 4:45 local time, which should make it 5:45 in the morning over here. That's definitely doable. Hopefully I don't wake the kids up when I get up to watch that one. Andrew Brace is the ref. The bookies have got England by 2, and the rugby forecast algorithm has England by 4. So despite everything, England go into this one as favourites. They don't have the form necessarily at the moment, but France have had a bit of a disrupted build-up in terms of some isolation, COVID cases and whatnot. So it will be interesting to see which side kind of fires. Hopefully it's a close game. Hopefully it's a good game. You guys let me know your thoughts on this one. How do you think it's going to go? Do you think England at Twickenham will be too strong? Or do you think France, with that young attacking team, all those offloads and whatnot, will be too good for Eddie Jones's men? You guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later. Remember, guys, if you're looking to watch Italy against Wales or England hosting France, both the games this weekend are on ITV. You can see the first is listed there, second listed there, so kind of back-to-back games. If you guys are in the UK, that's sweet. You guys are sorted all for free. If you're not in the UK, one option you've got is to jump on ITV using a VPN. You can see I'm using ExpressVPN here. I'm connected to East London, so I will be able to jump on. You can watch it live, but if you want to see, they also do the games on demand. I'll just go to sport and find the Six Nations down here. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Connect to the VPN. I'll put a link in the description for it. Express is pretty good. They do a 30-day money-back guarantee in case you have any issues. But yeah, like I said, connect to the UK, jump on ITV. You do have to create an account for ITV, but it's free, email address, and Google a UK postcode. And then, yeah, basically all these games here, you will be able to watch them live, if you're watching live, or on demand, like this one is here. But anyway, you guys take care of yourselves. I'll check the link for Express in the description, like I said. And yeah, enjoy the rugby. See ya.